keep my name out of your mouth. Liam Cohen said something that is symbolic of not only him and the team, but for the city of Jacksonville.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Victory Monday. It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast. I've been a credentialed member of the media here in Jacksonville for about 2 decades, so we kind of have our finger on the pulse of this team and the pulse of this community, and we like to share that with you here each and every day on Locked On Jaguars. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you tap into that location each and every day, whether you watch or listen. We'll be there. We'll be there giving it to you straight with no chaser, as we always do. So here we go. Here's where we're going to end up. I'm going to go backwards to the front. We're going to end up talking about a quote-unquote new different result. Same thing kind of, but a different result. A salute to the GM, James Gladstone. He did something with players he did not pick and select, and it showed up big time yesterday in a big way, and I'm glad for it. And we're going to start at the top with a toast to head coach Liam Cohen. I'm going to preface this by saying something. I don't use social media or the way that people respond to anything that I say most of the time to give you a big idea of what we're talking about. I may mention it in passing for clarity because I know the everydayers, and basically shout out to the everydayers who join us each and every day. You guys understand that this is almost like a book that's continually being written by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So if you're new here, we welcome you in. You kind of got to jump in a little bit. And what we'll do, we'll navigate you and tell you why and explain why the Jaguars feel the way that they feel, or why we, Jaguar fans and media, feel the way we feel about certain things. And in no way am I saying that the way that I'm going to talk in just a minute or a second is going to be me speaking for everybody. This is me speaking for me. I don't put words in other people's mouths, but what I will do is tell you I appreciate someone like Liam Cohen that tells other people to keep my name out of your mouth. This city has been the punchline to jokes. This city, Jacksonville, has had to endure low-hanging fruit commentary from a lot of people for a long time, okay? By the way, the Jaguars won yesterday, 26-21. We'll get to that in just a second. What Robert Salah did earlier this week, and granted, I didn't say much about him because I was hoping that they lose this game so I could come out here and say this. And I would have said something had they won. Coaching is a fraternity. They compete with each other too. Don't think for 1 minute that Robert Salah, who was a dude who was a finalist for the Jaguars job, a job that I know he probably wanted it because he coached here before. He had just gotten fired in a bad way from the New York Jets, and we kind of took up for him and felt sorry for him. But here's a mistake that he made. Don't open your mouth talking about people in an unsolicited way. And if you do, you need to stand on business. In case y'all didn't understand, last week, Robert Salah said something about the Jaguar staff legally stealing signals, that they do a great job at it. So it's a backhanded compliment. It's something that nobody asked them to talk about. Then his coach doubled down on it and said, yeah, ain't nothing illegal about, but when they asked him about it, I kind of understand what Robert's talking about. You know, they do that, and then said, we don't do that here. All elitists, okay, that's not a practice that we practice as if there's something wrong with it. So yesterday, Shanahan then comes out at the end of the game after they lose, after he hears about the dust up on the field, where Robert Salah walks up to shake Liam Cohen's hand, and Liam Cohen did what me and a whole bunch of people that I know did. He told him to keep it moving. And he walked right past him. I guess more words were exchanged. First of all, shout out to my man Marcel from 47 News here. Marcel's been around here a long, long time, and nobody's giving him credit for having that view on the field. So shout out to him and all of the people over there that shared that's not getting credit for having that. But I'll get back to my point. I'm glad Robert Salah didn't get this job. And I'm not saying that I'm glad he didn't get the job because he said something about Liam. I'm glad he didn't get the job because he said something about Liam, tried to make it seem like it wasn't that big deal, even though he used the word stealing, okay, and then said legally stealing. And then his coach doubled down on it and acted like it was something, well, it's not illegal, but it's unethical. And that's me paraphrasing what I believe that they said. Here's my issue. Don't come up to me and shake my hand. You know what you did. You knew what you were doing when you did it. You did the same thing to Liam Cohen that everybody else always does to the city of Jacksonville, that they continue to do it right now, even the day after they lost the game. They're sitting there going back and forth at the fans. I didn't know Jaguars had this many fans. I thought they only had a few fans, and they were all in London. All of that BS. Say it with your chest. Don't say stuff like that and then come up to me and then you want to go crying like a victim and have all of these people saying that Liam Cohen doesn't have a right to act like that or he's being a chump or whatever. When the bottom line is, don't pop your gums off, try to get slick, and then want to hide behind your muscles talking about what you'll do to somebody. I'm not sitting here condoning violence. In fact, I'm saying we don't have to be that way. Ain't no gangsters coaching in the National Football League. Conflict resolution is important. There ain't nobody going to fight nobody. But here's what people are going to do. And pardon me if I use a whole bunch of language that isn't correct in the way that it says it's supposed to be in the dictionary or your English grammar books. But what I am going to tell you is this. Time out for all of that soft stuff. I see why now, as the offensive coordinator, Shanahan's team lost a 28-3 lead. Stand on business, man. You said it. You got beat. Walk to the locker room and take the L. Don't now come up to me and act like you didn't say it. And ain't nobody gonna slap fire out of nobody because that's not what grown men do. But what we're not gonna do is let you play in my face. You knew exactly what you were saying. But the reason why I'm like this against Robert Salah, and I'm saying I'm glad he's not the coach, not because he said it, because he didn't stand on it. And see, the difference is you met somebody that would. All the man did was tell Robert Salah, don't play with my name. Don't play with how I got my job. Don't go back and look at the comments. Initially, Robert Salah said they have a young time. By you saying young to me, that's like you saying, hey, man, I see you bought that little house over there. I'm proud of you. It's certain words that you can put in sentences. And y'all are so quick, and I'm talking to them too. They're so quick to call the man sensitive, and that's another one. See, that's the stuff that lame people do. You try to use little gaslighting words in your comments, and then you won't stand on it. You see, all those weights that you lift in the gym don't matter if you ain't a man for real. You didn't stand on it. You didn't by acting like you don't understand why that man told you to get out of his face and keep your name out of his mouth. It tells me you wasn't qualified to be here in Duval County anyway, because you know what? That's exactly the kind of stuff that we do around here. Jacksonville has the right coach. He understands you cannot let people play with you like that. You can't let people play. And this ain't about being no tough guy. This ain't about being a gangster. This ain't about none of that. What this is about, you can whoop me all day long, but tomorrow you're still going to respect me. And so I understand what Liam Cohen did yesterday. Jaguar fans understand exactly why he did what he did yesterday. You don't come out and play with somebody like that, man, and talk about their name unsolicited, unprovoked. Unsolicited and unprovoked. Come out and basically put little titles and labels on him and act like he ain't doing his job. Bro, he's better than you are at this job. He is already. I don't care how young he is. But you know what else he is too? He's a man, because he ain't going to let you play with the name his daddy put on his birth certificate and act like that dude's doing something unscrupulous, act like he's doing something that, while not legal, it is kind of the Shanahan with the we don't do that, and then got the nerve to say, I don't see why he's so mad. Man, you lucky somebody didn't get slapped yesterday. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm glad y'all out there where you are. I don't want nobody like that here. Say what you want to say, have your opinion, but then stand on it. Don't walk away and shy from it and want to come up and kiss me on the cheek and act like it's all good. Nah, bruh, it ain't. And it ain't going to never be good. Watch your mouth, period. Or you get embarrassed on the field, and then you'll get embarrassed when I tell you to keep my name out of your mouth. Shout out to Liam Cohen. Salute to you. Now we'll get to the game and we'll get to all the ramifications from that beautiful victory yesterday that has the Jaguars 3-1. I'll talk about it here in just a second on Locked On Jaguars. All right, man. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. Telling you what, man, you had taken Brock Purdy to throw multiple interceptions yesterday or more, because I think it was about 1.5. You'd have won you some money. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On NFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And today's show is also sponsored and brought to you by Rougiette. That's right. What you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence. That's what you get. Pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiette Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to RUGIET.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's Rougiette, RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure to use the code so they know we sent you. Woosah. Let me woosah here for a minute and get to this game yesterday and get to the GM that did something very, very important in the offseason that benefited the Jaguars. It has all year, but it's really benefited them yesterday. But first, I got to finish with this a little bit. Don't you hate when somebody says that somebody that didn't get the job you get, they think you did it because you cheated, and they're going to sit here and now impugn your character and impugn all your hard work? You're a great city here in Jacksonville, but yet still people have blamed the city and the fans and the water and the air for the ineptness of people that ran this organization in the past. And they label you and put a name on you. I can't stand it. And I'm glad that that man stood up yesterday for not only himself, his family, his name, his players. Go back now. Think about this. When he took this job and what he had to go through with the people in Tampa, and they impugned his character too, acting like he did something shady when what they were doing was trying to not allow him to go and get life-changing money and a life-changing opportunity. They've been going through this the whole time. He's gone through this madness the whole time. And he's playing and coaching for a city that has gone through this the whole time, right? Even with James Gladstone, who I'm about to talk about, young GM, young, using the word young, talking about the catchphrases, talking about this and talking about that. That's all right. They're 3-1. The Jaguars are 3-1. And one of the things that if they want to have good analysis and not just be a talking head, they would understand that something that he did when he took this team over that GM sometimes don't do. And that is legitimately give everybody a shot, even the people you didn't pick. There are a lot of folks that would come in here and just wipe the slate clean with all this. But something that I remind people of is this. When James Gladstone was in with the Rams for those years, they know prospects. They keep books on prospects. He talked about how they've been trying to get Jordan Lewis. They were hoping that Jordan Lewis would become available for a long time. The first thing that happens, he gets Jordan Lewis here. He talked about De'Ami Brown when he signed him in free agency, and Les Snead says, I knew you were going to do that, because he stood on a table for him back in the day and the Rams didn't take him. So the first chance he got, he took him. That means to tell you that they have a whole scouting department that they remember. It's almost like it's the pro personnel side, but with college players. And they don't hold your lack of production against you. That leads me to Devin Lloyd. That leads me to Travis Etienne. I'm not worried. They weren't worried about what those guys had put on the grass or put on the tape based on what other people had asked them to do and what other people had put around them. They came in with the idea that they were going to give these guys a shot. Parker Washington gave them a shot. He showed up in camp. Same thing. Those three players were the MVPs from the game yesterday. Devon Hamilton, one of the top graded guys, according to True Media, yesterday in the game. Another player that they could have very, very easily replaced, but they didn't even touch the interior defensive line when they got here. Eric Armstead. They remembered him from the NFC West. See, even though he drafted all of these guys, even though he traded for Travis Hunter, even though he went out and changed a bunch of guys on the offensive line, it's what he didn't do that impresses me. And what he didn't do was come in here and wipe the slate totally clean with dudes that you could say were, quote unquote, not his players. He didn't come in here and say, we bringing in Louis, so we get rid of everybody. And that's not a shot at Coach Prime, but since that's fresh on your mind because it just happened a couple of years ago, there are coaches that do it. And there's a difference between college and pro. I get that. But a lot of people have that same intention when they come in because of their ego. And that's where I want to park it right now. It's a lack of ego. He didn't come in here and swap out all of these players that me and other people that do podcasts and fans and people on social media said he needed to get rid of. And guess what? He looked them in the eye and gave them an opportunity, and those guys took it and they ran with it yesterday. And you got 3 or 4 players that were the reason that this team won that game yesterday, were the MVPs of the game, because James Gladstone kept his word. When he got here, they were going to put the best on the field, and it had nothing to do with whether or not they were people that he took or not. Because you know what happens? People will go, he's winning with bulky guys. Those are even the kickers and the punters and all those are Trent Baalke's players. Brian Thomas Jr. is Trent Baalke's player. Trayvon, Josh, Josh kind of, but you know what I mean. The thing is no. If they can help us win, they're the Jacksonville Jaguars players. You see how that lack of ego allows this stuff to manifest itself and happen? You see how there's a meritocracy where if you go out and earn it, you're going to have the opportunity to play. It's not going to be me trying to be right about the people that I'm right about. Remember here on Locked on Jaguars, and if you're new here, you won't remember this, but remember what I kept telling y'all? You can't just be trying to force something because you picked them. You can't. Remember Blake Bortles? Remember that? My friend Dave Caldwell, I love him to death. But you remember all of that? The extension of Blake Bortles and wanting to just hold on to stuff a little bit longer than you should, even when it's yours. Well, the flip side of that is sometimes guys come in and they get rid of too much too early. He didn't do that. This is about competition. This is about whoever plays the best, regardless of who drafted you, regardless of what you've done in the past. If we give you the shot and you earn it, we're going to play, period. Salute to him. He could have been an egomaniac and come in here and got a 1-year mulligan and said, look, we're going to have to bring some people in here and use it as an excuse. He didn't do that. It's because it's about winning, that's why. It's not about ego. It's not about self. It's about them. So salute to both of them too. We have to do this. We're going to get to the game now and say the number 3. I'm going to tell you why it was a new, different result. A new, different result. And what brought the new, different result? It's resilience. It's grit that Tom Coughlin talked about back in 2016. But it's finally showing up here, and I think it's sustainable for the long haul. We'll talk about it in just a second here on Locked on Jaguars. All right, show is sponsored and presented to you by 5-Hour Energy Caffeine. Just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients, and zero sugar with zero crash. That's what I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot, and you can take it anywhere and get that boost that you needed. Whether you're on the golf course, whether you're sitting behind a mic doing podcasts for 10 hours a day, you got to stay awoke. And then by doing that, sometimes you take stuff that doesn't taste good. This tastes good, and that's the biggest thing. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in-store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. And the NFL season is 4 weeks in, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. 300 in bonus bets. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, if you caught yesterday's game that we'll talk about in a minute with the Colts and the Rams, you know that the Rams had a little bit of a distinct advantage, obviously, because they were at home, and maybe they just know how to win, and the Colts aren't quite there yet. And that's what you can take advantage of on FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, third and final segment here on Victory Monday here on Locked On Jaguars. The Jaguars are tied with those Indianapolis Colts that you just heard mentioned on that FanDuel mention at 3-1. The Colts they're a for real team, man. They went out and played real well against the Rams. Maybe showed the Jaguars a couple of things that they have to see, because the Rams have to actually come here in a not too distant future. A future that looks bright, because the Jaguars have a tendency as of late, at least early in this regime, to have the kind of grit that you need to be able to make plays when you need them, both on offense and defense. Let's start on defense first. They had some moments. That were head scratchers, where the ball's going to beat you sometimes, where things that they called didn't work. Great screen plays, a lot of boots and misdirections, and they were doing it with the depth being tested. But at the end of the day, the Jaguars won a game that we all know in the past that they would lose. And that was indicative by the people on social media who kept talking to me saying, same old Jags, same old Jags, same old Jags. I don't get upset with that, because I don't think that that's true, but fans are going to fan. They're going to be emotional. I just wish sometimes people understood that doing this job, I can't think that way. I can't be a prisoner of the moment. We have to look at everything from a macro perspective. And the big picture in this is, you can actually learn how to keep winning games like this, and then it becomes the bay leaf in your chili pot, where it just adds something to the flavor, and without it, you don't have a chance in hell of finishing these games properly. But with it, especially the more that you do it, you're going to learn how to win. And there were two instances. This is the second week I'm going to point Trevor out. Trevor made a throw to Brian Thomas Jr. where he changed the play, got into a better play, and that sealed the game for him last week. He made a mistake. He tried to slide inbounds, and you immediately know that he thought he gave himself up inbounds, and he very well could have. But maybe he didn't too. I don't know how the referees called it, but I just posted Trevor. Like, you could have just slid a step earlier just to lead, no doubt. But what did he do in the very next play? They got a choke play and another first down, and then they went down because he made a throw that he absolutely needed to make. And he made it when he needed to do it, and it sealed the game. That's called winning football. That's called reaching out and grabbing it and taking it. So while it wasn't perfect, and while the third quarter still seems to be a bit of a bugaboo for Trevor Lawrence, I think these moments at the end of games where he's done this on a few occasions, it kind of gives him a little bit of a reprieve for maybe those lapses in the third quarter. Also, Liam Cohen as a head coach, he's still learning. And see, people think when I say that, or some people when they say that, it's me saying, well, he's just young and inexperienced and he'll figure it out on the fly. That's not what I'm saying. I think in coaching, you're always learning. I don't think you ever arrive. I learn stuff every day doing this job. I cut hair for 34 years. My last 6 months on the job, I learned some tricks from standing around some young barbers that I probably would never have done. But it was fun for me to learn it and to see how other people can do things. So I think what's happening is he's finding his footing as well. But he's finding his footing winning games as opposed to losing those games. And that means something. Because now you're going to have players that trust him. He's going to trust himself. He's going to trust those players. And all of these things kind of work into one big thing. Now, there's still a lot of work to do. One of them is to figure out what's going on with the kicking game. And to clarify something, this is where I said I don't usually use social media, but I will now. So building up to this year, I said that the Jaguars would have a weapon that they normally wouldn't have. And what I meant by that is if you watch Doug Peterson's team over the last 3 years, the Jaguars literally would get to the 35-yard line and would have to go for it if the down and distance was short enough, or they would have to punt to pin the team in their own red zone. When Cam Little was hitting those kicks last year, and then he hit that 70-yarder in the preseason, I just said the same way that Dallas and Kansas City have an advantage, that as soon as you cross midfield, you're probably within 7 yards of field goal range, and that would preclude the Jaguars from punting and having to go for it, but it will also make the other team have to be honest, especially if they just didn't want you to score regardless of the situation in the game, whether it was before the half or if it was towards the end of the game and you needed a field goal to either win or tie the game. I said it would give the Jaguars an advantage because it would make teams play them honestly. Well, with Cam missing 2 field goals in 2 straight games and them getting to the 40, 45, 42-yard line, since this season has started and electing not to allow him to kick, all I said was that is an advantage that I may have to pull back on that I thought we had that hasn't manifested itself yet. Folks took that as me saying that you need to cut the kick or you need to find somebody else. No, I just said that we don't have the advantage that I thought we were going to have that very few teams had. Baltimore had it for years with Justin Tucker. I think it's Brandon Aubrey in Dallas right now and Harrison Butker, right? And maybe even the kicker in Philly and Buffalo. When you get to the 40-yard line, ain't no kick too far for them. That's something I wanted in the Jaguars repertoire. So far, regardless of the reason, whether it's the wind in California, that wind wasn't here in Houston when Houston came here, and they elected to do the same thing then, or as my man Cat from Bold City Brigade says, that if you watch them, if they're watching them pregame and he's missing them, maybe there's something off mechanically. There's somebody trying to make a wild guess and say maybe he's banged up or injured, but I'm not going to go there. But maybe they see something that we don't. In the portion of practice where he's kicking, and I don't go down there every day like a lot of people do, maybe he's not making them, but that wouldn't be visible to us. They know they have their finger on the pulse of this team. It doesn't mean that the advantage won't come back or won't show up eventually. It just means that it doesn't exist at the moment. So for the sake of us communicating, let's just not jump to conclusions every time you hear me say something, and understand that there may be a reason why it's a continuation of a conversation as opposed to me trying to make some gotcha statement, which that ain't the way I roll here on Locked On Jaguars. No news yet on the injuries to Trayvon Walker. Apparently he had a hand or a wrist yesterday. I'm sure Liam Cohen and the staff will give that to us today to tell us all about that and any other players that were banged up. The Jaguars have an extra day to get ready for the Chiefs. They got a Monday night game coming next week, so we'll continue to review and talk about what this team did so far in the first 4 games, especially in San Francisco. And then we're going to start turning our attention later on in the week to what they must do and the opportunity that presents itself when they play the Chiefs in front of a national TV audience on Monday night. Make sure you check out Locked On NFL to find out about the Chiefs and everybody else twice a day. Tyler Rowland in the morning. The madman wakes you up like a double shot of espresso, and then I come through in the barbershop right in the middle of the day around 2 o'clock, and I take you back to the barbershop, and we talk about all of these teams with the help of local experts. Make sure you find that podcast and follow it wherever you get your podcast, whether you watch or listen. We're 3-1. Be happy. Stop beefing with each other. Y'all can be insufferable, even to me sometimes, but that's all right. Just keep your name. Keep my name out your mouth, Duval style. We'll see you here on Locked On NFL. Make sure y'all tap in each and every day because it's your team every day.